Welcome to the Lair, a place where interesting people you may know tell you things you didn't. So grab a chair and your favorite vice and get comfortable. There are no rules in the Lair, but there is Laura Babcock. You know her from TV, and she is not into media monogamy. Let's find out who else is in the Lair.
Yeah, you signed, so whatever.
Well, welcome to the Lair. We're here in the Lair with Jeff Crump, and you are such an interesting guy. You're interesting because you're involved in a whole bunch of different restaurants. You're an executive chef. Can't wait to talk to you about that. You're also all about organic food, and as you were just telling us, you're not into the fancy smancy stuff. You're about pizza, bacon, and eggs. I'm eating some of your pizza right now. Fantastic.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Cooks, you talk about last meals. What meal would you have? Death row meals and things. And generally speaking, chefs and cooks, it's ice cream, ribs.
Oh, really?
Cereal.
And what would yours be? What's your death row? Your last supper?
Ice cream, ribs, and cereal.
Yeah.
Actually,
all in one.
all sort of in one plate.
But you do something fancy. You'd stack them or mush them or do something.
No, that's the thing. We do this every day, and I've been cooking for now almost 15 years, and I eat cereal at midnight, and that's my dinner.
What's your favorite cereal?
Well, lately it's bran flakes, but that's so boring.
So boring.
The reason I ask is
Let's say honeycombs, because honeycombs was a cereal that, as a kid, was sugar cereal. That was as far to the junk food as my mom would ever give me. So honeycombs was like
mine was Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah.
Please, Mom. Okay.
Ours once a year was Captain Crunch for Christmas. That's just butter.
It cuts your mouth.
Yeah, doesn't it though? It's like a little bit of sandpaper in the top of your mouth.
Yeah.
Fruit Loops is my favorite sugary cereal.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But don't you find that funny? Because for us, it was puffed wheat or plain Cheerios. Honeycombs was considered sugary. Nowadays, honeycombs is nothing on the scale of
practically health food.
Yeah, it's practically. But did you find they got soggy if you didn't eat them right away? That was my problem with honeycombs. Or do you like the soggy honeycomb?
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because when we were just talking about sort of high-end food and bringing it home, there's, one of the inspirations for Bread Bar was this place called Momofuku in New York City. And it is a chef, his name's David Chang, and he has trained high-end big time his whole life. And he opened these noodle bars like pho or ramen, but he's really become famous for things like he does soft serve ice cream. So this restaurant is low brow, kind of like Bread Bar in its decor, but extremely high end food in very simple preparation in his preparations. So he does soft serve ice cream, but he does cereal milk ice cream. So he actually soaks cornflakes in the cream, strains it off, and then makes soft serve ice cream. So when you let it get
mushy.
When you get to the end, that milk is sweet and
delish.
So he actually makes ice, and so it's brilliant. It's kitschy, it's funny. But in the end, when you eat it, you're transported directly back to being a child.
See, but isn't that the thing, though, is that chefs, you talk about how you probably just do bacon and eggs or cereal, but to me, what is genius about chefs is that you can take that normal stuff and you can turn it into something fantastic. Like, to suggest that the milk could be extracted away from those soggy honeycombs and mixed with ice cream, to me, that's brilliance.
Yeah, it is.
To warn you, Laura's going to tell you her two favorite shows.
Oh, yeah. Chopped. And Top Chef and/or Kitchen Stadium.
We have a couple big
Iron
Food
Chef.
Network fans.
We do.
We do.
Okay. I
So
don't watch
this is-
TV. I don't even.
Okay.
I don't. I've heard of. I don't know.
So this is the thing about Chopped. Here's why I like it: is that they're asked to take ingredients that don't go together, and they've got 20 or 30 minutes to create dishes based on them. So there'll be a protein, a rare one, some weird vegetable you've never heard of, and like sugar snaps or Captain Crunch or something. Totally.
And it's Ted Allen.
Yeah, and they have to mix it all together in 20
Ted
minutes.
Allen's chef. I have a story.
Ted
about
Allen's
Ted
the
Allen.
host. Yeah. Oh, tell me, please. As I lead into the
Tell me right
next
now.
This is a gross one, and
We love gross
stories.
stories.
Getting better.
We love
my
gross
wife's gonna
stories.
be like, oh my God, you went on to do this interview and you said this story. So networking is a big deal. What I do in my industry, and I know Ted Allen's he used to be. I watched Iron Chef, so he was a guy in Iron Chef and yada yada. So we were in New York, and we were actually cooking at the James Beard House, which is a whole other, sort of big honor in the industry to cook at the James Beard House.
It's huge. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm one of 5 Canadian chefs ever invited to cook there.
That's
Awesome.
amazing.
So we were there for the weekend, and I was at a bar. I wasn't even at a bar. We were out for dinner, and we were walking down the street, and I had to go to the bathroom really bad in Manhattan. And I walked into this bar, and Ted Allen is standing.
Get out.
And this was like, we're in the James Beard House. They're going to say hello. We just have a cookbook that just came out. Like, this is a big sort of opportunity to, who knows what, really. You just sort of jump on opportunities.
Right.
So anyway, the washroom, he was waiting in line for the washroom, and so was I. And it was like this really weird sort of thing. And then I finally went in, but the stall doors were shoulder height.
I hate those.
As I'm sitting down.
Those. Don't you hate those?
So I was like, hey, Ted Allen, I'm just, 1 minute, because I'm going to go. And then he came in and peed beside me as I was sitting down. And he can literally, like he's like this. And I'm like, it's over. In my head, I'm like, I just sat there and go, I'm not, like, it's over. I'm not talking to him. Like, there's nothing. And I basically, like, he left, I left.
How do you pick up the power thread after
there
that?
There was no. So anyway, I'm a chef. And let's move forward.
No.
And I'm like, I go, that was unreal. Stupid, bad, good timing, and then utterly
See, I was
bad.
going to
bad
ask you
timing.
before you told the bathroom story if he's as diminutive as he looks, but I meant it in a totally.
No,
when I
he's
see him
normal.
on when I
he's
see him on
normal height.
Chopped, he looks small.
No, he was pretty normal. I didn't, once again, I wasn't focusing on that.
So tell me about James Beard, because that's crazy. How did you get the invite to go there, and what did you cook?
It was our book. Basically it was our book.
Tell us the name again, because it's
Earth
a great.
to Table.
Yeah, it's
So
cool.
it's all about the whole eat local thing. And we wrote a book, my pastry chef and I, Bettina. And, I think we hit this eat local trend, like, sort of rate. I
Yeah.
think we put together a book proposal and put it on the desk of Random House when someone in the media department said, we need an eat local book.
Wow.
And then I think it was like that day.
Yeah.
And then we sort of submitted
Timing's
a proposal.
everything. Eh?
Yeah.
Oh, it was insane. And we got offered, all of our proposals got accepted by every publisher that we, across the country.
That's crazy.
Which is totally unheard of and completely amazing. And then HarperCollins picked it up in the States, so
Wow.
it's in the States
Because
as
usually
well.
people will. I have the privilege of knowing a number of Canadian authors, and they don't make their money on Canadian publishing.
Oh no,
It's
it had
gotta be
nothing
the
to do
US.
with, Random House sold the rights to the States,
Yeah.
so that was what made this book sort of happen, and it was a hardcover, and it sort of took it out of the realm of a Canadian, a typical Canadian
Yeah.
cookbook.
And the title, fantastic. Earth
Yeah,
to
we just
Table.
hit it right on, and that just sort of was part and parcel with a tour that we did in the States. And once again, it's networking. A friend of mine is the chef at the Drake Hotel in Toronto, Anthony Rose, and he happens to know the guy who runs the James Beard House. And, he sort of gave a good word to me, then the book was sent to him, and then, it just really, it was very much sort of, I didn't have much to do with it. And then, we were invited, and so you go down and you cook one night.
What did you cook? How do you even plan for that?
Yeah, well,
That's so much pressure, I feel.
Well, you hear about the guys who get on Iron Chef, right? They spend a month, like, without sleeping, prepping their menu. How do you prep for that?
The chef at Spencer's is Chris Howarth, and one of his best friends is Curtis Stone. So the big, hot,
yeah.
awesome, babe, Australian guy.
That babe.
So Chris was on Iron Chef America as Curtis's sous chef.
Really? You're kidding.
And Curtis came to the mill and practiced.
No way.
So he was there for 4 days, and he destroyed our kitchen. And
Well, I want to get back to the James Beard, but
Yeah.
what was it like to prep for Iron Chef?
And how do they do it? Laura and I always debate this.
They must know.
they
the
know,
secret.
They know
no,
the
they
secret.
don't know. It's one of 4.
One
That's all they
of
know.
4, really?
So they knew it was one of 4, and it's everything from tuna to ice cream.
So they
to,
prep every possible
So
variation.
they basically just say, the way I would do it, I would say, okay, we're gonna do a linguine, we're gonna do a raw salad, we're gonna do this, and then oh my God, I hope that ingredient fits what we're
Yeah.
gonna do. And I'm sure there's Plan B and Plan C, but really they just I know that they said they were doing a crab salad no matter what, and they were gonna
Yeah.
do a sandwich or this.
So
and
go
that.
with your strengths. Try to have a.
Yeah, and that's what
good
we did at
variety.
the James Beard House. We basically did sort of what we knew. We didn't try and get too fancy.
So what was the menu?
I honestly can't.
And
It's not burned.
and who,
I
then
know
who
we did
eats
pork
it?
loin, and I know Bettina did our apple tart, which is sort of famous at the mill. And I said, just do it. And we
Yeah.
made our own ice cream. And we just the bottom line, it's like bread
What was
bar.
the flavor of the ice cream?
Maple, obviously.
Oh, represent.
Represent.
It's gangster.
Yeah, and so we did pork. I think we did like a sweet potato gnocchi, which is
Oh,
in the
man.
book. We basically took a lot of stuff out of the book and
Yeah.
recreated it.
So what was the reaction?
Good, great. Yeah. Well, I was very proud of what we did. Our team was really good. It was really
Yeah.
fun. You know,
You seem extremely relaxed.
I'm past that, I think. So I was there to have a good time. I was excited to be in New York. It was a great
When
honor.
you say you're
I
past
think
that, you're past what? You're past the nerves.
just trying so hard and
Yeah.
and like, I think if that happened 6 years earlier, I would have killed myself trying to be too fancy
Right.
and trying to do this stuff that I wasn't comfortable with doing or whatever. And
So what was the tipping point for you in your career where you just relaxed and knew you were who you were and it was going to work or it wasn't?
I think I just matured and
Was there a particular validation or something that happened that made you realize what I'm doing is working?
well, one story, one sort of typical. I do cooking classes regularly, and you sit there and you try and impress people with this and that, and you're doing this. And I was making a pie dough, and one of the things when you make a pie dough is you have to work the butter into the flour without kneading the flour. So the difference between like bread and pie dough is gluten. Anyway, so the idea is sort of get the butter crumbled into this, and it's hard, and there's all these gadgets and yada yada. And a friend, an old chef of mine, showed me that you take butter and a box grater, one of those cheese graters, and you just grate the butter into the flour, and then it's instantly done.
Wow.
Stupid little thing, and it's amazing. That's all people care about. By the time I did that, like especially women who, have their grandma's pastry
Right.
Yeah,
recipe
They bake
and all
their
that, and they're so
pies
proud.
and-
But
yeah.
and then whenever people see those stupid little tips,
Yeah.
they go nuts. And I finally realized like people just actually are impressed that we're actually cooking.
Yeah.
Not that we're like putting a foam or freezing this or liquid nitrogen that or all these crazy stuff. They're just impressed that we're making the pizza dough. And that's one of the things that comes around to opening Bread Bar is people know the difference.
Yeah. Why the word artisan? What does that really mean? Artisan breads.
Well, a laborer works with their hands, a tradesman works with their hands and their head, and an artist works with their hands, head, and heart.
Oh.
And that's what we do. We care a lot. We fight a lot in the kitchen about stuff.
Do you really?
About, like,
Because it's such a zen feeling place in there.
No, I would
Yeah,
kill to get back to be able to sit in
see
a
them
kitchen
fighting
and
the
watch
bread
a
bar.
full
oh yeah, Bettina and I go
to see a
off
full
on each
service
other.
or
Really,
to
yeah?
see people work for a day in a kitchen. I think it'd be amazing.
Well,
And-
when you see,
And it's my
shows,
staff. It really cares.
you
And-
see shows like Kitchen Nightmares or Hell's Kitchen or whatever, and obviously some of the drama's inflated for television. But is the creative experience in the kitchen with the heat and everything that's on the line? It has to be urgent. It has to be perfect.
The creative experience isn't that. The creative experience is long before that, creating the dishes and
Right.
the prep, and that's the creative experience. And that sort of happens Monday to Thursday. The insanity or the controlled chaos
Yeah.
and the yelling and screaming and swearing happens during service, and like there's no creativity. Like. Put the fish in the pan, cook it here, put it on the plate, get it out.
So why
Put
the
fish in
fighting? Just the pressure?
Well, no, we fight about when we like if when we're working on dishes and we're talking about ingredients or and it just like passion about different flavors of ice cream. Like if the pizzas was a thing. Like what pizzas do you put on the menu? We only have 10,
Right.
and everybody was like, yo, you gotta go like
Because everyone has their own
But
favorite.
if you don't
wild
ha-
boar pizzas, and you gotta do these crazy ass pizzas. And I'm like, no, people want pepperoni pizzas. Like
Yeah,
we
it's
just
true. But
let's
your
just go
pepperoni
Perfect.
pizza
Let's
is
just go-
particularly delicious.
But they're handmade pepperoni. Like we
Yeah.
sourced the guy who makes the pepperoni in Niagara
Yeah.
Falls, this old guy. It's that kind of stuff that we fight about.
Yeah.
And then when it's in service, there's no fighting because I'm the boss.
Kind of like that.
Nobody talks back. Nobody
yeah,
says a word.
You got to pull the power play once in a while.
Well, kitchen is not. There's no democracy. It's a dictatorship through and through.
What do you think of Chef Ramsay?
He is a world-class chef. Like he is one of the best chefs in the entire world and has been since he was 20 years old. So people don't really know sort of the story of Gordon Ramsay and like his restaurant Aubergine. He worked for Marco Pierre White, who is another enfant terrible, like one of the most notorious chefs in the world. He was, and there's a book called White Heat, and it's a very classic cookbook, and it's Marco Pierre White as the original rock star chef. He's the original, and this is in '83 or something. And if you flip through the book, there's a picture of Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen working.
Really?
Just like a 20-year-old cook, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's Gordon Ramsay. And he became, because he worked for the best, he became the best. And he had this place called Aubergine, which he was the chef, and he had a real fight with the bosses, and he walked out, and the entire restaurant left with him.
Wow.
Front of the house, back of the house, the whole restaurant had to close for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Because he was so well respected, but this is long before any.
So when you say enfant terrible, what was it that makes him the bad child or the rebel kid? Was it his style of cooking, his approach, his irreverence?
You should look up the book White Heat, or just
Yeah.
look at old pictures of Margaret Pierre White. He had long. He looked like the lead singer of INXS. Like
Oh,
he had
yeah?
this real long curly hair. He smoked in the kitchen. He threw people out of the restaurant. He was the youngest person to get 3 Michelin stars, which is the highest rated.
And didn't you work at a 3 Michelin star restaurant at some point in your
I got
career?
a tattoo right here. There's the
Do you
stars
really?
there.
No, look
Wow.
at that. Nicely
Stars.
done. He's actually got a Michelin star tattoo. It's very cool.
Yeah, the place called the Fat Duck in London.
Now, were you the executive chef?
Oh no,
there?
I was. It's called a stagiaire. Like I just went there and you work for free and like
Just to be a part of the
I
magic.
went for 2 months and I worked 16 hours a day,
Wow.
7 days a week,
Wow.
6 days a week.
Did you have to do a? I know a couple of people who are trying to be chefs. Do you have to do like an audition
chef?
type thing, or how do you? How
Not-
does someone?
No, not for a stagiaire. You really you kind of do your first 2 days are an audition. Like,
So they either say get out or
Yeah.
you can stay.
yeah, and I was there and people came and were.
So
not
what's the
asked
difference
back.
working in a 3-star Michelin kitchen as opposed to another one? Is it just...
Not much, I think just everything, like the people, everyone that works at these places are just so incredibly focused and professional that, but, the music was blaring, Amy Winehouse, Johnny Cash, like the really cool people that work there, but they're just so good at what they do, and there isn't much room for error,
Right.
whereas, and especially at the Michelin 3-star level, money is no object, like,
Right. The perfect
if you
ingredients.
don't do it, you
yeah.
throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Right.
If you didn't do it right, it's gone. And whereas at the mill, if someone if these cakes weren't perfect, well, we're not throwing away 50 cakes. We're going to fix them and make them better. But there's a real
So when you
difference.
see, for instance, Ramsay, because I think he's had 2 Michelin stars, is that the most he's...
Well, he has 3.
Does he have 3?
Yeah,
Because when you see him
I
at
think
the
he has
pass...
like 8 with different restaurants.
Well, when he's at the pass and he's doing that quality control and he's throwing things in the garbage constantly, it looks
Yeah,
over
that
the
show,
top.
but that happens at restaurant. Generally speaking, at the Fat Duck, if it was something that he was going to throw in the garbage, he would never even pass it to the guy to look at.
Really,
like, These cooks know, and like it wouldn't get past the line.
Do you aspire for a Michelin star in any of the restaurants you own?
No. I aspire for amazing food and people that love it, and for me that's the same.
Is that only
There's
for-
no Michelin ratings in Canada.
Well,
anyway.
and I was also going to ask, is the Michelin rating only for gourmet food, for high-end food? Do they have...
Yeah. How do they?
Do they give credit
Well,
to
they have-
different cuisine?
Well, yeah, there's Rosette, so there's like, one Michelin. There's a place called the Momofuku, one of the David Chang's restaurant has 1 Michelin star. So it's really just a level of service, a level of food, and they're really sort of toning back. Does it have to have like crystal on the tables and linen?
So it's more about the food, less about the...
Ambiance.
Well, 1 star is food, 2 is food and decor, and then 3 is like everything's got to be like
Oh, I
it
didn't
has to
realize.
be the perfect.
I always thought it was a quality of food rating only.
Oh
I
no,
realized that.
services like in the restaurant business, I dare say, service is number 1. Decor and location is probably number 2, and food's number 3.
I guess you were.
Especially around,
Really?
we don't. Well, as a society, we don't care about the food.
Yeah.
Do you think that's changing? Because I
Like,
mean,
come
in
on.
the-
You're more likely
We
to
all
hear
drink Tim
someone
Hortons
complain
coffee.
about bad
Obviously, we don't
service.
care about coffee.
let me do a quick... Yeah, that's true.
You're more likely to. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, no,
Mexicana, oh my God, I hear
Yeah,
about this
yeah,
restaurant every
Mexican.
day. Is
Well, there you go.
best.
So there's food.
Yeah.
The service is there. No decor. But
What are you talking about?
the decor.
The decor
is
in
the
there
thing.
is bomb.
Is
No,
perfect.
it's a puzzling decor.
It is awesome.
I'm like, when does the buffet open?
Okay, but you know what? I want to do a quick straw poll of the group here, okay? Of the peanut gallery. So, quick question. Evelyn, I'm going to start with you, just all the people here in the Lair. What's more important to you when you go to a restaurant, the food or the ambiance?
I'll lead off a street vendor in
The food,
Tijuana.
Evelyn? What do you say, Jay? Food or ambiance?
Oh, I'll eat off a street vendor in Tijuana.
So
Totally
a street
food.
vendor in Tijuana, it's
Food,
all about the food.
100%.
Mike, what about you?
Food.
Food? What about you, Ryan?
It's the food.
It's the food, Laura?
I'd say food, but like coming from a restaurant, I think that I'm more in tune to the service and that kind of thing. If my server's a bitch, it's not going to be.
You're not going to enjoy the food.
No.
Unless the service is so bad that it becomes good. I'm thinking of B&T at Park and Cannon.
You know the guy that cleans up? He looks like Lurch kind of. Right. I love you guys.
What about you?
If he doesn't serve my table, I'm mad.
What about you, producer?
I'm with Laura that it's possible that the service could spoil the whole thing and just ruin the appetite.
You know what? I think more so if it's an expensive restaurant and you know you're paying a ridiculous amount of money for this $3 plate of pasta. I want 5-star service.
That's true.
Well, and that's you know that's what a Michelin 3-star is. It's supposed to be the whole
package.
thing, the whole package. Like it is.
Because I want to say food, but I can't lie. You know, if the restaurant doesn't have the right vibe, I can't enjoy my food. If it's dead or if it's
Yeah, and when you
Like put it this way, I went to Langdon Hall, which is would be a Michelin 2-star restaurant probably in Canada. We were doing a tour of Cambridge, our new restaurant, with the staff, and we had dinner at Langdon Hall. And so I was in sort of civvies in the day, and I showed up with a suit.
Yeah.
Walked in the front door, went into the washroom and changed into my suit, and I was going back to the car to put my clothes, like jeans and a shirt, back to my car, and the valet stopped me and said, "I'll hold them for you." You know, he knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, great." And we had dinner, and it was amazing, and this and that. And when I came back out, my clothes was cleaned and ironed and wrapped in a bow.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Like that is beyond.
Yeah, that's
like
sweet.
him just stopping me and saying, "I'll hold on to your stuff for you," is
Nice. Yeah.
5-star service.
Right.
But to actually get it laundered while I'm having dinner and tied, and I even brought it back to my wife.
Magic.
I even brought it home. I left it on the table with Laura. I said, "This is how I like my laundry every day." Like you're really blowing it laundry wise.
I bet you had to cook her something nice after that. How did you get into cooking? Where's the passion from?
It was kind of an accident. Well, it was a shot in the dark. I went to Western. I have a degree in poli-sci, and I applied to McGill Accountancy because I think everyone in my whole family thought I was going to be an accountant or something. And I applied to chef school, Stratford Chef School at the same time. I didn't know, I'd never cooked ever in my life, and other than make mussels at home or tomato sauce. And Food Network, I sort of watched, back then Food Network wasn't really on, but I watched cooking shows.
Yeah.
And,
What was your favorite back in the day?
I watched Pasquale.
Yeah, I was
Really
going to say.
talented.
Everyone
Wasn't
watched
he-
this
yeah.
back in the
I
day.
still watch them. Like, and I really just took a shot in the dark, and I ended up going to Stratford, and that was sort of my first introduction to sort of the food world, and I was hooked. You know, that was it. And then I cooked in California, and that was what got me on the whole eat local thing right away. So it was really sort of a leap of faith that. Luckily, I haven't worked a day in my life since, really.
And that's what they say, right? When you find your passion, it doesn't feel like work. But let me just ask you, as we wrap here on the Eat Local, it's passion for you. You did Earth to Table, a very successful cookbook. I think everybody's heard of it. You've got a number of restaurants now, the Bread Bar being one we've talked about a lot. Artisan food, you were involved in something we did recently as a firm. You came in and helped out with that. Obviously committed to your community, the whole rest of it. But what is the one thing you want people to really understand about the importance of eating locally grown food? What made it such a cause for you?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm not doing this I don't do this for the environmental or the social aspect. I do it because it's the best food. A tomato in August is the best food compared to a tomato in January from Argentina. So that,
Flavor or nutrients or?
Ripeness and flavor. Like, like seasonal eating is like, if my job is to deliver the best food possible to my clients, that is the best food. That is my professional opinion. Like that is it. There is no strawberries in January. It's asparagus now,
Right.
Strawberries are starting like yesterday, so you know, gorge for the next 2 months, and then don't eat another strawberry for the rest of the year. You know, abstinence is an excellent thing in food as well, because then you wait.
Wow.
It's interesting. We only wait for corn for some reason.
That's true.
Nobody eats corn in January around here, but we all eat strawberries and cucumbers.
That's
So
true.
why are we waiting for that? So, but everything has a season, and if you just wait, then all of a sudden you're excited about the corn season and the strawberry season, and it actually makes everything taste better. Because if you like hold off on sex for a couple weeks, you're loving it when it happens. Same with strawberries.
Nice, nice.
So really, that's and I think if people start eating delicious food again, they will start thinking more about it and be more passionate about it, and it's much better. Like, it's just better. Stop eating shitty food, and you'll start loving food again. And I think that'll start changing. Then everything will just start changing. People will start rejecting McDonald's and looking for cool taco places in the middle of nowhere, and like, and then everything will work itself out. So I don't really go for the social advocacy or the environmental thing. I think if people just start loving food again, it'll all sort itself out.
Awesome. Love it. You're so fascinating. Thanks for being in the Lair.
All right.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
so nice
Thanks
to
for
get to
having
know
me.
you. Oh, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Chats in the Lair is a Power Group production. Visit us at powergroup.ca or laircast.com, or check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.